are the key things that you would say enable that culture to be there? Like how does a team, we talk about building these high performing teams. What are the key aspects that make that happen? Because it's easy to say, right? But how does it get done? What are the key things you think that make up that?
Yeah.
So I'll give you my perspective on that. So, and not in any particular order, but the collaboration. And we've talked about building a team, but really the collaboration between and amongst all of the team members. And again, that's a large group, and it could go in our situation in healthcare. That can go to a nurse on a floor, or an EVS slash a janitor who is the one who is ultimately going to be taking care of the cleanliness of a facility. So, but building that collaboration with everybody, specific to the IPD team, that IPD agreement, I think really drives and almost, the intention might be to sort of force collaboration a bit, because without that, I think that those things can still be achieved. And what we've used to think a little bit outside IPD, but how do we do that? And how do we get the most out of collaboration on projects that aren't necessarily, don't have an IPD agreement? We've used a memorandum of understanding on projects where we go right up front. We go to the designers, to the engineers, to the construction managers, and we say, for whatever reason, we're not doing this IPD. Maybe we can't, or it's just a time issue. But we all want to work together, just like it's IPD. And so we've used this memorandum of understanding to make those expectations, again, very clear from the start. And regardless of what the contracts say, we all need to work together to solve our issues, to solve our problems, to deal with things that come up every day. And so I think, sort of this collaboration is really important, whether it's IPD or not IPD. Another one is transparency, and this is really a major tenet in a true IPD project, which is it's essentially, it is open book. And we, I tell all the contractors, all the architects, all the engineers on an IPD job, you cannot lose money on this project, right? How much profit the different folks ultimately attain is dependent on all of our, the work that we all do through the whole duration of the project. But it is transparent, and you have to be willing and able to open up your books, to talk openly about struggles and about things that you might have hidden or pushed to the side under more traditional methods. Team building, we've talked a lot about it. We've already talked a lot about team building, but it is really important to the success of IPD. It's about people. It's about how people interact with each other. And when difficulties arise, you have to be really willing and able to address them right up front. And those can be some hard conversations, but they're really important ultimately to the whole team and to continuing the team building. And then I think last one, and then I'll throw it back to Mike, but is respect. And you can't really teach respect, I don't think. People have it or they don't. But what we try to do in an IPD project is really push that to the forefront. And when it appears that somebody or some company is not giving respect across the board to all the others and to all the other firms, we bring that up. And I will tell you that our experience has been that it really catches on, and people really appreciate the fact that you're asking me to respect other people and other people's ideas, but you're also asking everybody else to do the same for me. So everything is more than a one-way street. It's all at least a two-way street.
Thank you, Steve. Mike, do you have a similar perspective or anything else you want to add?
Yeah, and I would say maybe from the contractor's perspective, the first and foremost and the biggest one that I've really felt is trust, and kind of trust first. Unfortunately, the industry particularly the contractors industry, may have just some bad historical reputations out there, and owners don't always trust us, and or architects and engineers may not always trust us, and trust isn't easily given. It does still have to be earned. But if you assume trust first, if that's a behavior and a culture that you create on a project team, and you trust people that don't work for your company, you trust people on the other side of the team, it it really does help create that high performing team. It does really help you work together to collaborate, to bring that transparency and to do what's best for the project. That to me is one of the biggest differences on projects, particularly large projects that I've been involved in, where you can see the success of the project was driven by the team trusting each other. I would say another one, and similar to trusting, is accountability. You have to be willing to have people be leaders, but be accountable for making decisions and doing what's best. And when they don't, account for the fact that they may not be the right fit for the project. And as we might say, get voted off the island at times. That we need to find people that have these behaviors, that are accountable for these things, that are doing what's best for the project, and can propagate that culture. I would say communication, which is kind of paramount in our industry right now and can be a challenge given the tech-driven communication that we have, and the quick, instantaneous communication that we're all looking for, the effort it takes to communicate. You need to force that communication. You need to have big room sessions, lean culture where you're, making everybody stand up and communicate. What are you working on? What do you need? How can we help? And maybe what obstacles are you seeing? It kind of brings some of the other behaviors that Steve was mentioning to the forefront of being transparent and being, respectful, but doing it in a way where we're all understanding what's happening. And it's not just that the senior leaders of a company know this is the issue, right? And I would say finally, as many of us are in the industry, we're engineers maybe by trade or by background, even architects by background. We're people that like to solve problems and do what's best and do it efficiently and take a lot of pride in that problem solving skill. So creating teams that want to solve problems and empowering them to go solve them is a major tenet, I would say, in an IPD culture on a project, whether it's a true IPD agreement or not.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Yep. So I would say, Chris, having worked on maybe some recent large jobs that are not truly IPD, but have explored the IPD tenets and culture in a non-IPD arrangement, what have you seen as part of the challenge in this shift in mindset, this one team approach?
So that one team approach is the crux of the issue, right? So Steve mentioned it earlier from an owner side. You just mentioned it from a CM side of that team building. So that is the gold standard of a good team will help a successful project. Projects can last a long time. Projects can range from, short, a few months on a project. It could go all the way up to 7, 8, 9, 10 years on a large project. So you have to make sure the right team is selected. That marriage will last a long time. And what people see is that team selected, it doesn't end there. The challenge in the field just begins, right? We're rolling out on a lot of projects. We roll out, there could be 70, 80 subcontracting companies on a single project. There could be a workforce of 1,000+ different tradespeople on the project. And the biggest challenge that I see at the project level is ensuring that culture that you guys talked about establishing early on rolls out and rolls to every single person that joins the project team and joins the project site. It's certainly a challenge, and we certainly have a lot of success stories about it. I'll share one that I'm really proud of, and I use this story as an example when we onboard new trades on these IPD-like projects. I had a job where we had a foreman who was in the business 35 years for a site work contractor. And this foreman, you heard the expression, you can't teach an old dog a new trick. And at first I was a skeptic. I thought we would never get this person to buy into the culture that we had created. We had such a good culture rolling. And I was really worried as they were one of the first big subs on board doing site work and foundations. And this was going to be our true test. First off, he came in, was really not buying the culture idea. And unfortunately, the company was so familiar with the area and the scope of work and the client that they were the right company to do the job. It was just this individual. So before voting this individual off the island, as you mentioned, we wanted to give this person a try and try and coach them, right? Coaching is a key in IPD or IPD like projects. So we had a lot of different work sessions with this person, and we did poll planning. We did big room sessions. We worked together. We slowly developed over a month or two this person's skills in the IPD like culture and IPD like mindset. And me as a skeptic turned a believer, because this person in 3 months was leading the charge. I couldn't believe it. I never again will I go to a job where somebody says, oh, it can't be done with this person, or it can't be done with this contractor, because I saw it with my own eyes, and seeing is believing. And that is an example I use now when we onboard new subcontractors to site. I tell this story because people start to open their mind and say, wow, if he can do it, maybe we can do it too.